I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
As we mentioned earlier, Nick, we do want to touch on Mason Mount. Why wouldn't we? It would be easy to be disappointed and downtrodden after letting Leicester have a share of the points today, but here are two words that should make you at least a little happier. Mason Mount. Let's talk about some of the stats surrounding our goal scorer's performance today. So the first one coming from @OptaJoe saying 1996. Mason Mount is the first English player to score for Chelsea under an English manager since Dennis Wise under Glenn Hoddle against Blackburn in May of 1996. That was a while ago, Nick, probably before any of us were watching.
Yep, I mean, that was it was quite a while ago. And, I think it's really funny that, it's just him, because I think he's with Frank last year. He's kind of seen as this, reincarnation of what Frank can do from a goal-scoring perspective from midfield. And he's the guy who now gets to kind of carry the torch a little bit.
Not only that, Mason Mount produced 3 shots on target against Leicester City today. That was more than all the other Chelsea players combined. So they only combined for 2. He had 3 himself. His second shot on target was his first ever Premier League goal. Not a bad day for the 19-year-old.
Yeah, he was definitely in fine form.
19. What were you doing at 19?
Not that. That's all I'm going to say. How about this, Dan? He had 62 touches, 5 crosses, 3 shots on target, 5 shots, 3 tackles made, 1 goal scored. It seemed like a pretty big box-to-box performance from Mason today.
Yeah, Mason definitely offered a lot going both ways. And I think he's someone who offers you the ability to track back, the ability to press, the ability to contribute in the defensive third, in addition to getting forward and just wreaking general havoc. I think, there's been some thought and, there's maybe some overcritical analysis of Mason just because he's Frank's player. He played for Derby last season, and people just can't enjoy anything nice, Nick. It basically is just, I think we need to appreciate what he is and how he's growing in front of us in terms of a player and what he was able to do today. Sure. Did he get out of steam at certain points? Yes. But this whole team played 120 minutes on Wednesday. Come on.
In Turkey. So there's travel as well on top of that.
Yeah, look, I think he was outstanding for the first half, and then we didn't have one player in the second half really stand up and be counted. And that it's not to say that we were completely out of it in the second half, but it wasn't pretty. He was really all over the place in the first half, and I think there was a thought, and our friend Mark Worrell tweeted this, that he was having a conversation at one of the various pubs, I'm sure, about how if we don't score a goal or 2 in the first 20 minutes, it's going to be a long season. And Mason certainly did that today. He got his goal, and the celebrations were outrageous, and his, the look on his face was so great, and Frank, right there with him, kind of celebrating. And, 25th minute rolls around, and it kind of goes downhill from there. So, he was really, really good. I'd rate him, a 7.5 out of 10. And, I think there's always room for young players to improve, not only with stamina and keeping their shape and all that kind of stuff, but just, to help bail the team out of tough moments too, which Leicester certainly gave us all we can handle in the second half.
Well, I think the good thing about having Mason on the pitch was how much the fans took to support him as well. I think this is probably a good place to interject the atmosphere today. We got a lot of reports. We saw it on TV. We Are the Shed group going above and beyond with their tifos and their banners and just really making it a special atmosphere. I mean, again, it's not only for Frank. I mean, it's for the players as well. This is the first time they get to see this team at Stamford Bridge live in front of them. I mean, it's a super special time. I'd love to get to go to an opening season match sometime at Stamford Bridge, because I feel like that's one of like the bucket list things of a fan is, you want to see Champions League. You want to potentially see a trophy lifted there. Opening day has got to be up there with them. I mean, you see, Dan Silves and Chidge and JK and Marco and Clayton. Everyone is tweeting about how they've been waiting for this and they are ready to take on 9 months of suffering and agony if it must, because of just how much they love it. And so the atmosphere was electric. And the way Chelsea started, I mean, we were all over Leicester, suffocating them, Dan, not letting them get out of their own half unless they were hoofing it. And then to finally, after the first 3 minutes, we had 3-4 chances right and then. Mason got it off a high press in the defensive third, picked Ndidi's pocket, and right before he fell to the ground off balance, somehow pulled his shot back across him and left Schmeichel completely rooted to the ground. It just, everything, including, the narrative behind Mason and is he going to be the next academy player to establish himself as a first-team player since JT, it all seemed to be going to script. It was the perfect way to start this match.
Yeah, I mean, I am not coordinated enough to do anything falling to the ground other than place my hands in front of my face, and somehow this guy falling to the ground can just notch in a goal. So massive credit to Mason. I think the things we need to keep in mind, he's only 19. Point number 2, he's only 19. Third point is he's only 19. He is very far, if we kind of argue maybe that 26, 27 starts to be the prime for any player. So this guy is going to develop over the course of this season, hopefully several seasons, as he's on a 5-year contract extension. He definitely is able to give this side something that Ross Barkley doesn't, and that he is a little bit tighter with his possession, so he doesn't give the ball away quite frequently. When it was passing in the opposition half, he actually had a 91% pass accuracy in the opposition half, which you would argue you tend to have more players around you, more players on top of you. You might be finding a little less space, and he was still capable of retaining possession, especially during that first half. I think him and the rest of the team did struggle in that second half, but those are the things that we can look forward to from him. Maybe if he gets back on corner duties, when Williams on the pitch, which I know we'll get into. Yeah, Nick, I just you can't say enough positive things about what he did in this match, how that really galvanized the home supporters, and how it really gave us a platform to think that this game was there to be had today.
Real quick, I have to correct this because we're probably a little confused. Mount is actually 20, but he's born in 99 and he wears 19. So that's probably where we're getting confused. But anyways, Nick, go on.
I update my point to say he's only 20. He's only 20.
Right.
He's only 20.
But before we get picked out in the crowd, I thought I'd go ahead and save us.
What were you doing at 20? There, I'll redo that. So I think what, first of all, I think he just has this he's trying to rival N'Golo Kante for the smile of the year at Chelsea. And I think he has this infectious ability to galvanize people, like you said, Brandon. Everybody's behind him. Everybody. Same with Ruben, same with Callum, maybe to a little bit of a lesser extent after the contract stuff. It's like all these guys just have everybody pushing them on. Tammy today, you saw the raucous reception when he came on. They want this to work. We all want this to work. We know that the experiment of using a lot of youth players will have its ups and downs because that's just football. But man, to watch those celebrations and to watch him so passionate, so into it, was just phenomenal to see. It's a little bit of it's a lot of the heart that we've been missing the last couple of years. And you saw it a little bit last year when Ruben was finally kind of coming back and scoring goals. But man, he started the season relatively well, and I'm proud of him. I really am.
So Lampard had some quotes on Mason after the match. He says his performance, particularly in those opening patches, where he is so good off the ball. He works hard and closes people down, which helps him get his goal. He's also got great quality, and this is a dream for him. He will be disappointed now because I know what he is like, and he will have wanted to win the game. But you should take a lot from that moment, and there will be a lot more moments for him in a Chelsea shirt like that. I think Lampard is gonna put. I think he's gonna stick his neck out for Mason Mount a lot this season. I know it's only been a few matches, and that he didn't really feature in the Super Cup, but just think how we all voted Barkley preseason MVP, but Mount was right behind him the whole time, and it looks like Mount has gotten the nod over Barkley at least early in the season, and so I think that Mount. This maybe ties back to David Luiz. Lampard is betting on these young horses to come through and to, really make their names and get established as first-team players. And I tell you what, Mason Mount is absolutely rewarding him for that faith. I was talking to someone else earlier. I think it was at, the pub at the Twin Cities Blues, is that, a lot of these young academy players have had even opportunities of 1 or 2 games, but they just really haven't grabbed it and ran with it. Mason is not hesitating at all. I mean, he looks settled. He looks like he belongs there. And you think of his journey, right? He went from the youth team, he went to Vitesse, bossed it there. I mean, he was scoring goals with his right foot, his left foot. I mean, he was just head and shoulders above everyone there. Then he comes back and goes to Derby on loan. Again, minus his injury, looked head and shoulders above everyone there as well. And he's come here and he looks like he's been playing this team for years, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. And then, Dan, I think when you pull in, Callum Hudson-Odoi returning, if he ever signs that 5-year contract that we've been hearing about, if, when Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes back, now you have this really, really young core at Frank's disposal. It could be, because we don't know, such an exciting time, in Chelsea's point in history right now.
I mean, it is an exciting time. You watch the way the crowd responded today. You watched how the supporting group of individuals at Stamford Bridge this weekend really just killed it. They did a phenomenal job, from the "We Back Tammy" to fight out against some of the racism and the racial abuse that he received from idiots on Twitter, to the way that they responded and kind of got up behind the players in kind of the tough patches. They're doing exceptional work, and everybody was out for it. So I think it's very hard not to be excited, and even with the results so far being a loss in penalties, and now a draw.
Yeah, I mean, I will say too, one of the massive storylines of this game are that was that Frank was coming back home, right? So the We Are the Shed people did a great banner, and then there was another kind of welcome home Frank thing. The crowd is into it. These guys have some leash. I think it's when you're playing youth players, when you're playing guys even like Zuma who are coming back and don't have the same cohesiveness with this team, it is going to take a while, and there has to be patience. It's not going to be an unlimited amount of patience. I think there were some moans and groans at the pub today. There were some moans and groans at the bridge when we kind of lost our way a little bit. But they are young, and Mason right now is great. He's going to make mistakes. Tammy's going to make mistakes. Ruben, Callum, all these guys will make mistakes. It's in the hopes that they can take this experience in this particular weird season that we're about to have with the transfer ban and apply that forward to future seasons so that we're better off. And I think we all kind of have to keep that perspective.
Right. The attacking style in which Lampard's team came out of the gates with was amazing. It was absolutely brilliant. Oh, yeah, it was great.